What's going on, Pathways Church? I'm Jake Collins, your middle school pastor, and I'm super excited to join you for today's Daily Dose. All this week, we're talking about generations. There are at least 5 generations represented in our church. When we hear about them in our culture, it's usually to point out differences and even stir conflict. This week, we're focusing on connecting the generations, focusing on the things that bring us together as we seek to represent Jesus in our community. In the past several years, we have seen the rise of the Lego sequel. For years, filmmakers tried to reboot franchises with all new characters, but they found that people really wanted to see the characters that they grew up with. Now, whenever a new movie or show is announced, there is immediate buzz about which characters will be returning. We have seen actors in their 80s and 90s revisit their classic characters, and we've even seen cameos from actors who have passed away. For the studios, the question here is, how can we make sure that this character remains famous from one generation to the next? In Psalm 102:12, the songwriter writes, "But you, Lord, are enthroned forever. Your fame endures to all generations." Verse 18 of the same psalm says, "This will be written for a later generation, and a people who have not yet been created will praise the Lord." By this point in history, even the nations who didn't follow God had heard about things like the parting of the Red Sea, the fall of Jericho, and the conquests of Gideon. Today, we have these and so many other stories preserved in writing. Even outside of the church, the Bible is the best-selling and most studied book of all time, and Jesus is undoubtedly the most famous person in the history of the world. Of course, there is a huge difference between knowing about God and worshiping God, and that's where the mission of the church comes in, to share God's truth with others and to bring them into a relationship with Jesus. That mission is also consistent across generations. Society and culture are constantly changing, but God is not going anywhere, and His fame is going to continue even into generations that have not been born yet. How can you be a part of this in your own life? Who can you point to Jesus? That's all for today. Join us tomorrow for another Daily Dose.